How's it going, everyone? It's Daigenstein here, bringing you another Tekken 8 video, and today we're going to be talking about top scrub killer moves inside of Tekken 8. So I got a very interesting question on stream the other day about someone asking me what moves that I think were really strong inside of Tekken at like the beginner level, or like what moves catch people a lot at the beginner level. And I put together a list of moves that I think are the top scrub killer type of moves that you will see a lot inside of Tekken, and basically how to actually interact with these moves. So let's go ahead and start talking off with the first one, starting off with Orbitals. So what exactly is a orbital inside of Tekken 8? Well, orbital is pretty much going to be something similar to like in hop kick. It's going to like basically be evasive to low attacks because it's going to go inside the air, but it's going to be more of like an axe kick going down rather than going up, as you see. You could change how it goes, so you can see it stays in place, or I can make it go forward like this, and he's going to be more safer on block than say a hop kick. Now the issue with these typically are they are going to be something that are going to be very floatable because they do have a lot of startups. So this is also going to be a combo starter as well. So this is a combo starter, so you can pick this up for a combo. I don't know how to play Brian, I just know he has an orbital, and yeah, this is basically what a orbital is going to be. So how do you actually stop these? So a common way to stop hop kicks is to simply make them whiff and punish them accordingly. The reason why punishing them with whiff is a little bit better than trying to actually jab them is because of the range that some jabs just have, or because of like where they actually are. It can be hard to try to jab these. As you see, he actually just hops over my high because of just him in the air, right? So this could be something that is very much in tune or in favor of the other player. And remember, this is a launcher for them, so if you're not careful, you can actually get punished very hard for this. So simply getting out of the way of these tools is going to be your best bet. Now you can do, if they are much closer, you'll always get your jab out and then you can float them. So if they are trying to do something like this while you're up close, this can be a tool that you can stop pretty easily. So jabbing it up close is the best thing, but if you're far away, getting out of the way if you know a person is trying to use a hop kick and then punishing it with your biggest thing that you have or your best thing that you have is going to be the best option that you possibly could do against in a hop kick. So again, floating if they're up close because it is going to be very slow, and then at a distance if they're trying to utilize this tool to space out your jabs or your buttons to try to like hit the tip of them, just sit there and space it out and punish them accordingly with your best punisher tool at that distance. Now going along with orbitals, of course, is hop kicks, and I'm pretty sure all you guys know about hop kicks by now. These are going to be a launchable tool, so these are going to be a tool that give you a launch combo, as you can see. However, on block they are going to be minus. Typically these are going to be tools that are like minus 12, minus 13. As you can see, this is minus 13. You could typically always get like a 12 or 13 frame punish on these. So if you happen to block a hop kick, do not hesitate to punish your opponent. These are going to be, say, unsafe on block. You can punish these tools. So the reason why opponent would throw out a hop kick is because they are good panic tools. They're pretty fast. They can beat lows. So if you are going for a lot of lows, your opponent could just mash out a hop kick and beat you. They also just have pretty decent, like, seems like priority when it comes to buttons inside like the neutral space. When it comes to like having a spaced out button, they actually are pretty decent in that sense, but they are pretty punishable. So even at a distance, if they try to space it out, if you have a tool like say Lily's 1+2 here, that is like a 12 frame, this will always punish even a well spaced out hop kick. So the way to beat this is simply just, if you know your opponent is going to do these, simply just punish him on block. This is no like crazy tool, you just simply punish it on block. But again, the application of the tool is typically a panic tool, so keep your pressure straight. If you know opponent's trying to like mash hop kicks, you can simply like do jab pressure and you'll hit them out of the air or something like that. So if they're trying to mash hop kicks out of your pressure, you'll hit them and stop them from actually doing that. So just keep that in mind. You can hit them out of it during your pressure, and just keep lows to a minimum if you know that they are coming. Inside of the neutral situations, if they whiff, you can also just whiff punish them with your whiff punish tools and get combos from there as well. The next top Tekken scrub killer move we're going to talk about is going to be the hell sweeps and snake edges. So we're going to start off with the hell sweep first. You guys all know about this move. This is going to be something that a lot of people will consider on the unreactable side because of the other options at their disposal. So they could go for something like this. You know, they can go for the forward option off that and get the, you know, launcher and the mid launcher as well. So you have to guess between the high low. But essentially, what do you do versus something like this? How do you defend against as well? Typically, the main situation that you definitely want to be aware of is when you are knocked down versus this tool. So versus knockdown, you have a lot better chance of trying to actually do something about this because of the defensive options. When you're inside of the neutral, it kind of is a guess, because you do have to worry about just the other options that the character have once again. But while you're on the ground, you do have some things you could try to do. So if you haven't watched my wake up guide, definitely check that out, because this goes more in depth in what I'm about to talk about. But when you are on the ground, you do have some options at your disposal. So just talking about some of the ones that are going to be commonplace for this, your 3 is going to give you a get up below attack when you actually do that. Your 4 is going to give you a get up mid attack when you do this, and these are both going to be safe options on block. So even if your opponent block these, you're going to be safe. They would have to parry the low option to actually get past this. Now, there's a couple of other options that happen when you actually hit the ground. Immediately you have these quick tech options. So one of them is actually going to be an invincible roll. So one thing that you could definitely do is, if a Mishima player is coming at you and they hit you, you could press the 1 or 2 button like you saw me just do after you get hit, and it quickly tech. So 1, 2 will quickly tech to the background, and then the other one, 3 and 4, will quickly tech to the foreground, as you see like that. So just showing that one more time. Take a hit and then get up just like that. So you don't have to eat a mix up, because if you get up, like say if I'm on the ground like this and I get up, then this will be a bad situation. If I try to get up now, oh, I ate the low, right? So you don't want to get up like that. You want to get up in a way to where it makes it a little bit harder for them to actually get this hit. So you want to make it a little bit tougher on them by pressing some of these buttons, by telling them to get off you, stuff like that. So you can do the get up options, or you can simply do the quick tech after you get a hit. So it's okay to eat one extra hit. You'll see this a lot where players will stay on the ground, take an extra hit, and then decide to get up. This is a common practice inside Tekken because of the mix up being so strong. So you simply take a hit, press the 1 or 2 or the 3 or 4, depending on the direction you want to go. Once again, just to let you know, 1 and 2 is going to make it to where you roll into the background, and 3 and 4 is going to make it to where you roll into the foreground. And this is something you do the moment you get the hit, because when you get hit, you actually regain your quick tech options, like is as if you just hit the floor again, and this will allow you to actually get up with that little bit of invincibility and roll in the direction that you want. So this will help you actually deal with this type of situation. Now, when you are actually, you know, getting pressured and you're dealing with this situation, it's pretty tough to deal with, you know, because of the options that they have. So you do have to guess between the options that they're doing, but you can do something. So one other thing to keep in mind when you are dealing with the hell sweep mix up when you are standing is to sidestep to the left. If you sidestep to the left, this will allow you to actually get away from this tool, as you see. If you sidestep to the right, though, it does track to the right, so you do actually get hit a lot more often by going to the right, as you see. So going to the left is going to be your best bet when dealing with this tool. This will also deal with the forward options like this. This deals with this pretty well as well, so you can actually sidestep both of these and get past this. Now, there are other things these players can do. They can realize that you're trying to do steps and simply try to go for homing attacks. So this is something that you have to worry about, but this is something you can do to try to get past people who are just trying to actually run this as like their main game plan without actually playing like a poke and neutral game. This is like they're just running at you, just doing this, and you know exactly what they're going to do, of course. So this is an option past that. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is hell sweeps. Now, hell sweeps are going to be much more slower, as you see. This is going to have some insane startup. These are typically like going to be like 30 startup, you know, high 20s, 30 startups. These are also going to be very unsafe on block. As you see, that's minus 24. Once you get to like the minus 15, minus 16 range, that's where things start to get launch punishable. So this is definitely going to be something that is going to be heavily launch punishable by your opponent. So this is a very high risk, high reward tool. These tools, because unlike the hell sweeps or like majority of hell sweeps outside of like devil gens, you don't really get a combo from them. They just sort of like do a hit and get a knockdown. These typically give you a full on combo though, as you see. So you do get a combo from the hell sweeps, and these typically have tracking, so they actually do stop people from going from the left or right. You cannot sidestep these tools typically when you are coming in contact with a hell sweep. So what do you actually do about these tools? Well, simply they are pretty slow, so you can actually just straight up just block them. This is going to probably be the best thing you could do if you see them and you know your opponent is utilizing them, but you don't think you have the reactions to go up and down and like block it. You can simply do the other options we were talking about. So a hop kick will work for these, or an orbital would also work for these tools. just like that. So you get the idea. This is something that you can do versus people that are trying to hell sweep you all the time, and you feel the lows coming. You can do the hop kicks on these, but once again, your best punish is definitely going to be blocking it and then launch punishing. So if you happen to block this attack, sweeping attack like this, and it sort of like reels the person back, you see like you sort of like get staggered. Any attack that like staggers the opponent like that is probably going to be something that is going to be heavily launch punishable. So please, if you block these attacks, definitely punish them accordingly. Get your biggest maximum damage and discourage your opponent for going for these very slow, high risk, high return tools. Next Tekken 8 scrub killer moves to talk about is going to be evasive attacks. So we have Leo here doing this sort of evasive move, as you see, and they're going under my high. So I'm doing this high and it is getting hit. The reason why evasive attacks is going to be very tricky to basically understand or basically talk about than others is because it's going to be different for every character. So Leo, as you see, is going to get very low to the ground, and this is going to be pretty much a high evasive tool. There's going to be other evasive tools, like say thing like Paul's shoulder and stuff, that are going to be more sidestep evasive. So rather than being high attack evasive and stuff, there's more like sidestep with the stuff evasive. So they're going to sidestep with their attacks, and this is going to make other things whiff. So there's not always going to be a correct answer or an answer to these tools that are going to be the exact same. It's going to be by research basis. So for example, here, just talking about the Leo one again, you would think this mid right here will work all the time, but there are times where this mid will whiff. As you see, this is a mid attack, but it is simply whiffing on this state sometimes. So it depends on how they are and like the angle they are, but this attack can whiff and then they will hit, as you see. But there's another attack, this down for one, this will never whiff. This attack always hits them, as you see. So this is just a case of example. Depending on the character you're playing, some of your attacks that you think may work, you just like, oh, just hit a mid on this. It doesn't always work. You have to know the specific mids that do work on that situation, or if it is a sidesteppable sort of thing. If it's a sidestep evasive attack, you got to know what attacks can beat that sidestep. Of course, your homing moves are typically good for those, but if it's a very fast one, then you have to find something that sort of just tracks to that side that isn't necessarily a homing move. So your homing move isn't necessarily always going to be the best answer, because they may be on the slower side, which means you got to find a move that just tracks them to the side that that evasive move will try to go and hit them before the move actually comes out. So once again, a very tricky thing to understand, and it's going to be one of the more research per basis for your character and the character you're trying to fight against. So it's very matchup dependent for how evasive attacks work, but this is the basis of where you basically need to go. Typically things are going to be like they're going to basically go over highs, they're going to be like go under them, and then they're going to be side ones as well. Those are typically the main two that I think that you're going to see a lot. Next Tekken 8 scrub killer move I want to talk about is going to be parries. So parries are kind of strong when you know how to use them correctly. So this is the infamous Kazama parry. As you guys may know, Asuka had this for a long time. This is the back 1-3 or the back 2-4. This is going to be a parry that is going to catch a lot of buttons. It'll catch kicks, it'll catch punches, anything you pretty much throw his way, as long as it is hitting in the middle to high region and it's not a low attack or is going to be a jump attack. There's also another parry that June has, which is this. This actually beats lows and it actually beats throws. But how do you beat parries? So when you're trying to pressure your opponent and you're like, you're doing your jab pressure, how do you stop them from just mashing parry on you? So I have June doing her counter here when I actually press her jab on block, and you see she'll do her counter, and this will basically beat me, as you see. So if I press like a punch, if I press a kick, she'll win. So how do you beat this? The thing of how to beat a lot of parries is typically mixing up your timing, right? Just mixing up your timing when you do things. So if I do something like this and I go to the side, this will be the parry, simple as that. So just mixing up your timing so your opponent doesn't know when to parry is going to be the best thing. Or simply just let off. If you know your opponent is just simply mashing a lot of parries, just let off, eat a parry, and then launch punish them for doing the parry. This can be something that can be very good for that. If you want to really just call out the parry, you don't want to really stop your offense or anything like that, you can simply do hops like this, because parries just simply lose the hops. So if you want to hop when the opponent, do a hop kick or an orbital or something, this will also beat the opponent from doing those options. So once again, if you're dealing with parries a lot, you can mix up your timings, to not get hit like that, you can do the hop, or another thing you can do is grab them. And if you're playing a character like King or any character with like chain grabs, this is going to be something hard for them to deal with, because it is going to be you know, a counter hit grab, which is going to be very hard for them to do anything with. They pretty much like can't get out of it. It's extremely fast. So yeah, this is pretty much going to be a guaranteed situation. So June here has this like really big grab like this, so I get a lot of damage off of this tool, just simply by knowing that my opponent is going to mash a counter. So you can really make counters, or like people mashing counters, hurt them by simply just doing these options and mixing these things up, so the opponent don't get used to your option. If they notice that you're just stopping your offense, and they'll probably stop parrying and then all of a sudden starts attacking you. Or if they see that you're doing just orbitals to try to beat it, then they can just mash jab after they think you're going to try to do something like that, because they can float you for trying to jab at this point, or trying to do the hop kick or orbital at this point. They can float you and actually get a combo from your thing. So knowing these options and then mixing up these options is going to be the key to stopping your opponent from doing these parries, and trying to keep them on their toes to actually play active defense rather than just mashing one option. The next big thing to talk about is going to be power crushes. So you guys all know about power crushes by now. They're quite annoying. They're going to be these armored attacks, as you see, these armored attacks that are going to absorb hits and then are going to probably send you flying, or sometimes they are even heat engagers, which is absolutely ridiculous, like Victor's. But how do you deal with these tools? Well, a lot of these tools are going to be things that you can pretty much jab out. So as long as you're doing something fast enough, you can pretty much check these tools, and they actually do not have armor against lows. So if you have really fast lows, or if you have really good jab pressure, you can stop this. So take this King kick right here. I got him spamming this kick, this back three. This one is really good. King players love doing this this kick here. Well, if we try to stop this, like say something like this, simply doing jab pressure like this will stop him. As you see, he just can't get it out. You see him keep flashing and it can't come out. Same thing if I go for this low here. This low is going to be even on hit, so this is going to be fast enough for me to actually deal with this tool, as you see. Now, one other thing you can do when it comes to this is simply, if it is a high attack, you can actually duck them after you hit it. So you can hit it and then sort of duck it, like something like this. So you can see the first hit, and then after you see the hit of it, you can simply duck it, depending on the character. So Kings for sure is going to be on the slower side of like how it works. So you can see that you hit it and then duck the next hit, and then sort of get your punish from there. So depending on those, but keep in mind it's not going to work for all of them, because not all of them are highs. Like for example, this one is a mid, but these are typically going to be pretty unsafe. So we show this one off. You'll see that this is -14. So they're not all going to be punishable, but the ones that are typically like mid ones like this are going to be punishable ones. So see if the ones that you're having trouble with are going to be punishable, and please do not let them go unchecked. So the ones that are like seemingly like going to be, seem like they're going to be pretty good, like the King one that got the really far range and is the high, you know, you could jab, you start your pressure with your jab, and if you see you hit it, you can like have time to duck and stuff like that. So if you don't commit really hard, you can just sort of stop and then get a big punishes on stuff like that. If people try to like do it in the middle of your pressure, because people love doing armor moves in the middle of your pressure, and of course in neutral. Kings is like really far away, so people love to do it. So of course, if you do have you know, some movement on you, simply try to bait this tool out if they're trying to use it in neutral, and try to whip punish it with your best whip punisher tool. It could be either like a launcher if you're close enough to hit it. It could be, you know, whatever your furthest reaching tool is at the time that is going to give you the best reward for the outcome that you want. That is typically going to be the best tool for that situation. So explore around with that and definitely see exactly how you can punish the different ones that are giving you trouble. And of course, the famous 10-hit strings, we got to talk about it. So this is going to be Jin's 10-hit string, as you see here. This is going to be the next thing that we're going to talk about as far as scrub killer tactics and moves. So just about every character got a 10-hit stream. Not every character has one. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to these is typically there is going to be a point that is going to be punishable. People typically don't utilize these, but if you see a person going for these, it is typically probably best to find the point that is going to have the low. the moment you see the low, that is going to be the point that you actually can potentially get out of this. Now, because it is a 10 hit string, these typically don't stagger as well, so you're going to want to actually try to parry the low. So once you see where the low is, maybe you get hit with it once or twice, try to see where that low is and try to parry it. That will get you out of the situation. It's going to be harder to try to find out exactly where the highs are. The highs are mids, mid-match. So the best point is typically to see where the low is, because typically these strings typically have at least 1 to 2 lows inside of them. So once you can figure out where the low actually is, this is going to help you actually get that parry point and get out of your opponent just spamming 10 hit strings. Nothing too crazy about this. This is just something that just comes along with practice of the game. You'll eventually you know, get used to some of them once people start trying to utilize some of these cheesy tactics on you. The next thing to talk about is going to be rage arts. So rage arts, of course, is going to be armored attacks as well. So these are going to be armored moves that the opponent can throw out when they have their life below the little line. There's like a line inside of the health bar. You'll see it inside of matches, but when the health get below that line, you get, of course, the rage state, which gives you extra damage and you take less reduced chip damage, but you also have access to your rage art. These are universally going to be -15 on block. So when you actually do block one of these, you do want to make sure that you have your punish on deck. Typically, a lot of characters in the game have 15 frame launchers somewhere. Not every character, but a lot of characters do have 15 frame launchers. So try to find your launcher that is going to be 15 frames. If you don't have one, do your next best thing, your 14 frame or 13 frame punish, whatever you have, and punish this the best way you can, because you do not want to let these rage arts go unchecked. Now, how do you deal with them if an opponent is trying to do them on hit, like or on your block? So if you're doing pressure and an opponent is trying to like throw these out, how do you deal with it? Well, the first most riskiest option is going to simply be just pressuring it before it actually comes out. So I have it to where Reina would actually be mashing the actual rage art, but it's not coming out because I'm keeping the pressure up. As you see, she should be doing it because it's not actually frame one. This isn't like a frame one option. It does have a little bit of startup. So if you could catch the startup, they simply just won't come out, as you see. So you actually can pressure these tools, but the safest option obviously is to be simply make them whiff. So act like you're coming in and then backdash out, or just simply block them and then launch punish them if you have it. Again, these are -15 on block. So if you have a 15 frame punish, this is where you want to use it. If you don't have a 15 frame punish, some characters have 16 frame launchers. You want to do the next best thing. So if you have a 14 frame punish, 13 frame, you want to use one of those, get the highest damage opportunity you possibly can to discourage the use of this tool for the next round coming. All right, so we talked about everything from the orbitals, the hell sweeps, to the parries and rage arts. What do you do about the heat mechanic? I'll tell you. You go to the home, you go over to the power button, and you turn your console off. So in all seriousness, you'll treat this like a power crush. So you want to do fast attacks to make sure that it doesn't come out. As you see, when I did that, it did not come out, I actually hit it. The same thing if I do something like this and you hit it with like a low, same thing, right? So you treat it pretty much like a power crush. It loses to lows and it loses to fast string startup. So you keep doing your strings like this and they keep trying to mash the wake up at this, and they keep trying to do this. You simply just keep the pressure up. You keep doing lows. You keep doing like your plus jab, just very fast things, or just do full strings and the strings will hit them out of trying to do it, because when they try to do that, the game just simply just will allow them to get hit, which is yeah, just how it works, because they're trying to activate this, and yeah, they just simply aren't considered blocking. So you can simply just hit them with fast strings and hit them with lows that have good frame advantage. You don't want to do very slow lows, or you don't want to do negative lows. You want to do ones that have like some plus frames on them. That way you can keep the pressure up just in case they keep trying to mash this after you hit them with the low. You do not want them to keep mashing this after you hit them with the low, because then obviously they will get it out if the low isn't actually plus enough. Now, one thing to keep in mind about heat moves is they have very deceptive range. I mean, these things will hit air and still put your opponent on block. Like, I mean, look at this. From this distance, Reina would still get hit by my heat. Absolutely ridiculous. I hit air and it still put her on block, right? So if you actually do a combo and you send your opponent flying, keep in mind that some people will like to wake up with trying to activate heat. You simply probably won't get over there in time and actually put a meeting on them before they actually activate it. So what you would probably want to do is you want to simply run a little bit and then back up. This is how you'll bait it out, right? So if you think your opponent is going to do this, you run up a decent amount, and then you back up to the distance where you know that this tool will simply whiff. Like it's not going to hit from back here. It hits very far, but not back there. And then the moment it whips in your face, you hit them with your biggest launcher, and you make them stop. You know, you make them worry about your options. You tell them, hey, stop that. Like, I know exactly what you want, and then they're going to be a little bit more hesitant to try to do that next time, at least in theory. That pretty much covers everything I want to talk about as far as the top scrub killer moves inside of Tekken 8. Hope you guys found something useful out of this, or maybe hopefully one or two of these at least you didn't know about, as far as some answers potentially to some of these things that are happening on the screen here. And yeah, some of these things are still going to be good at the high level, but they are definitely highly abused at the low level. So just knowing that these options are there and knowing exactly how punishable some of these things are, so you get the benefit of the best reward to discourage these tools, is pretty much the point of this video. So I hope you guys found something useful out of this. As anyway, you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I greatly appreciate it. And if you hear more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so the next video goes live. As always, my name is Tekken, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.